get started, go ahead and click that subscribe button as well as that thumbs up button if you'd like more videos like this. Today I'm gonna make a lace frontal unit, okay? I'm gonna show you every single step in my process. Stay tuned. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section. Thanks for coming to my channel. Okay guys, so first you're gonna need a dome cap. Next, you're going to need your frontal or your closure, of course. Mine has that strip along the bottom and the sides. That's not dye in the middle of the frontal. That's actually water. I had just washed the frontal. Anyway, so a lot of people will tell you to line up your frontal with the front of your dome cap. That's actually the wrong advice to give. You want to line up that protective strip on the side with the front of your dome cap. So that's going to make it pull forward a little bit more, and it's going to look weird. It's going to feel wrong, but trust me, that's how you make sure it fits right. It's even going to have like some extra lace there in the middle, but it's going to be fine. Everything's going to lay right. It's actually going to lay better than right. It's going to lay perfectly, all right? So I'm just pinning everything up, pinning everything down. That is the next thing you're going to need, which are pins and clips, of course. The next things you'll need are a sewing needle. I prefer curved sewing needles, and your thread. I prefer nylon thread, black. So I am sewing going upwards for now. I go ahead and push that needle through the dome cap, and then I attach it to the end of the frontal. I pull that string through, and then I loop it one more time, and as I'm pulling it through, I slide the needle through that loop that I've now created twice. Sometimes I even slide it through 3 or 4 times on the ends of tracks, just to make sure that it is secure, it's not going to come down, and it creates the proper knotting. I actually tend to do this a few times before I just start sewing normally. I put the needle through the dome cap, attach it to the frontal or the track, and with that loop that I've now created, before pulling the thread all the way through, I loop the needle around into that loop twice, and then I pull as tight as possible to make sure it's secure. Now you guys, sewing normally is pretty repetitive, which you guys might hear me repeat myself a few times, but I do want to make sure to tell you guys that on your dome cap or any cap that you use to make a wig, do not sew where the dome cap has thread itself, or it might be too tight. You might break that thread, and it might be too loose of a wig. So sew around that thread. As you guys can see, I'm pointing it out here, and usually when I do this, I also go ahead and make a few knots just so that it doesn't move. It's super secure, and then I continue threading as normal. Okay, so to end this off, when I'm ending off, whether it's a track or a frontal, what I do is, first of all, try not to be like me and make the string so short. But what I do is I loop the needle into the loop of that thread right there, probably about 5 to 7 times, you guys, like a lot of times, and then I pull it tight as possible, not so tight that you rip the thread. But then after I cut off the needle, I go ahead and I tie the ends, the 2 ends of that thread, as if I'm starting off to tie my shoe. I cut it off, and that's it. This is what the secured frontal looks like, you guys. So I'll be applying my tracks in somewhat of a zigzag pattern, and at the top I'll be applying them going straight across. Starting off, I always go through the weft, and I always connect the ends of my tracks to the frontal. I personally go through my frontal first and then connect that track, and I do the same knotting technique as I did when I started and ended sewing my frontal down to the dome cap. It can be a little hard to push through the tracks, but just go ahead and do your best and take your time. After I push through that track about 3 times, I go ahead and I make sure I do the knotting technique that I showed you guys in the beginning of this video, and I just begin to sew normally. So before I flip the track over to start sewing normally again, I begin to adhere the track to not only my lace frontal, but of course also the dome cap. I ended exactly how I started it. So I'm sewing through the weft, and I'm also doing that same knotting technique where I take the needle, put it through the loop, and I pull a bunch of times to make multiple knots and make sure it doesn't move. Then I simply go ahead and flip that track over, you guys, and I go ahead and pin the track down. That way it doesn't move, it's not hanging on the floor, and I can control it. And I sew through the track again just to go ahead and tie the end of that corner down to the dome cap so that it does not become loose later on in life. I have no problems from it, and it lays flat. So I'm tying all of this. I'm tying the corner of this track very tightly, you guys. And after that, I just proceed to sew normally, which is I'm right now going over the tracks, pulling through, over the track, pull through, and I will occasionally do that knotting technique in the middle of a track. This is not enough thread to go do the next line. So I've knotted it twice. I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to do what I did with the frontal, which is take these 2 pieces that are hanging here, 2 pieces of thread, and you're going to tie them, just like you're starting off tying a shoe. When I get to the top is when I'll come back to you guys and show you me going straight across. I have finished installing the 24-inch, my longest bundle, and I'm going to take a piece of my 22-inch, take a piece of your shortest bundle, and you're going to measure it the length of your frontal that you have showing left after you're done with that first bundle. Because since the first bundle is going to be in the back, I never do this right at the beginning. Some people do, but I wait until I'm done with that first bundle. And then I just measure it from edge to edge of the longest bundle that I have already installed. And then I'm going to cut it right here. And then I'm going to sew this piece of my shortest bundle, my 22-inch, right along the perimeter of the lace frontal. Okay, let's do that. You're going to lay it down flat, going back, not going front, going back. And as I told you guys, I like to use pins. And I put it right on top of that frontal. So this is how that track should look. Very nicely sewn. It's just this little space left. First bundle on, frontal on, the one track of your shortest bundle on, and then I'm going to continue on sewing until I reach this seam, and then I'm going to start cutting the tracks and go straight across so that it's not bulky. And that's when I'll come back to you guys so you guys can see that. Okay, so everything is done. Now I am going to start going straight across to fill in this last space. I have 2 bundles in the hair, and this is my last one bundle. I have the lace frontal on, and I also have that one track going along the edge of that lace frontal. The entire process is pretty repetitive, and I'm going to place these very close together. You don't want it to be super bulky, but I don't want it to be super spaced out to where you will be able to see any stitching, any tracks. You don't want that. It all comes with trial and error, but this is how I do it, okay? So first track going right here, okay? I measured it, I'm gonna cut it, and I'm gonna sew it. Like I did with that first track, I go through the weft about 2 times while also knotting it those 2 times. Like I said, you guys, it's super repetitive. It's so repetitive, it's almost boring. Okay, I have made it to the other side. I have put my needle through the weft for the last time. And I'm just doing this so I can create a knot. I did not go through the weft that time. This is that extra piece over here. Just cut that off. The front of the wig. So I've taken the wig off of the wig stand, the wig head, and here's that lace frontal we did, and here is the inside of that wig. As you guys can see, it's very, very neat. So, of course, we have to cut this extra wig cap here underneath the lace frontal. So we're just going to go ahead and cut that and you'll be done with your wig. Make sure you do not cut any thread. So if you have to leave a little bit of the wig cap in front of that thread, then that's just fine. Now you can go ahead and cut your lace, customize it. I've already tinted my lace and I've already plucked my lace frontal. I have a video on that and I'm going to link it either right up here at the top of the video or down in the description box. So check that out. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.